Welcome to the Persecution Report. I'm Greg Musselman. Coming up, Malaysia is seen as a moderate Islamic country, but that is changing for some Christians.
They forced me to renounce Christ, but I said no way.
Later, Bukar Samson was almost killed during an attack that took the life of his father. Now he's preparing for full-time ministry as a pastor.
I decided, God even talked to me one day that is the right channel that I should follow. Because some people were discouraging me. In fact, if I'm to follow that footstep, I know what happened to my late father. I shouldn't do that. But I didn't even listen to them.
We'll hear Bukar's amazing story later on the Persecution Report. Sri Lankan pastor Edirisinghe of the House Church Foundation was gunned down by two assailants outside his house in Ampura, Sri Lanka. 37-year-old pastor Edirisinghe was engaged in the Lord's ministry in Ampura for many years. The attackers also shot his wife Saromi in the stomach. At last report, she was in hospital in critical condition. Their 2-year-old son, who received a minor injury in the attack, is also suffering from trauma. Information received from our partners in Sri Lanka indicate the murder of the pastor was a contract killing done by people angry with his gospel ministry, which led to the conversion of a prominent local person. The police have arrested 4 people in connection with the murder. 5 church buildings were destroyed, several people injured, and the homes of a number of Christians were burned in violence in Yane, Bache State in northern Nigeria. The rioting started after an unidentified Muslim asked Patience Youssef to marry him, but Youssef, a Christian, refused. Later that night, he told friends and neighbors that Youssef had blasphemed Muhammad. He then led a group of Muslims to Youssef's house. She escaped to the local police station for protection, but the mob followed her and demanded that she be killed for alleged crime in accordance with Islamic law. When police refused, the Muslims attacked the officers and burned down the station. Afterwards, hundreds of armed Muslims rioted in the streets, attacking and injuring several Christians. A Pakistani evangelist, 55-year-old Daniel Saudagar Masih, was beaten by Muslims. Masih was preaching on a road when a Muslim man emerged from his nearby shop and began to shout at him. Masih told the man that he could not stop him from preaching God's word. The man slapped Masih and was soon joined by another Muslim shopkeeper. The two beat Masih until another Christian was able to intervene and stop the assault. The Southeast Asian nation of Malaysia bills itself as a moderate Islamic country. But today, powerful forces are trying to turn it into a fundamentalist Islamic state. This has Malaysian Christians worried about the future of religious freedom.
They forced me to renounce Christ, but I said no way.
Daniel is a young Malaysian who has lived a secret and sometimes dangerous life.
I've been threatened with death so many times by radical Muslims, but by the grace of God, I'm still alive.
And you were once taken into a cell, beaten by these radical Muslims.
Daniel converted from Islam to Christianity in 1998. We've concealed his identity and changed his voice.
Under the Islamic laws of my country, the authorities can arrest me for my conversion.
Malaysians attempting to leave Islam has become one of the most controversial issues in this country. The debate erupted last year when Malaysia's highest court rejected a Muslim convert's battle to be legally recognized as a Christian.
Was the Lina Joy case a turning point in this whole crisis in your country?
Yeah, it was a turning point in the wrong direction.
Malik Imtaz Sarwar, a well-known human rights lawyer and a Muslim, presented a brief in support of Miss Lina Joy's conversion case.
It crystallized a legal basis to implement the kind of measures that we say are undermining of the entire societal framework of this country. Lina Joy was a bad decision, a very, very bad decision.
A decision that forced Lina Joy to flee the country. Meanwhile, Sarwar's support for Joy made him a wanted man. Posters carrying his picture circulated calling for his death. He's been branded an Islamic traitor because he believes that Malaysians should be free to choose their religion.
The freedom is to profess. And once one professes, and this is even in the Quran, it is for that person and God after that.
Malay Muslims make up 60% of the population. The rest are mostly Christians, Hindus and Buddhists. The Malaysian constitution guarantees freedom of religion, but today non-Muslims fear those freedoms are being curtailed by powerful forces who want to turn Malaysia into an Islamic state.
The extreme fundamentalists tend to believe that the laws of Malaysia must be Sharia compliance.
Wang Kim Kong is the head of the National Evangelical Christian Fellowship. He says there's been a subtle and gradual encroachment by extreme fundamentalists in the affairs and rights of Christians. A case in point, the Malaysian government recently announced that certain Arabic words such as Allah cannot be used by non-Muslims. They argue that Allah, which means God in the Malay language, refers to the Muslim God and can only be used by Muslims.
The Islamic Authority failed to recognize that the word Allah predates Islam. This word existed way before Islamic religion came into existence.
And there are reports that religious freedom is at risk. Recently, Malaysian custom agents temporarily confiscated 32 Bibles from a woman coming into the country. She said the scriptures were for a Bible study group. A Malaysian church leader says it's more evidence that the country is becoming less tolerant of other religions. Still to come on the Persecution Report.
The only thing, I now surrender my life to Christ. I said I handle everything under His care, either life or death. Since He is the Creator, I have no any other option.
We'll hear what Bukar Samson had to do to stay alive and what he's doing now with his life. If you live in Canada and don't yet receive our free monthly newsletter about today's persecuted church, sign up today at the top right of the screen or go to persecution.net. There's simply no better way to learn about the faith and courage of our brothers and sisters around the world and how you can stand together with them. And you can also share the newsletter with friends and family. Sign up today.